Everyone. We're really glad to see so many of you today with us. Let me introduce myself. My name is Alina Zharikova. I'm a Business Development Manager at Rula Technologies, and next to me is Oleg Litvinets, our Sales Engineer.
Hello, everyone.
And today we will walk you through the old and new ways to simplify your vibration testing. Plus, our Chief Software Officer, Ilya Sokolovs, is here today also with us and is ready to answer all your questions related to Rula software and hardware. Before we start, let me tell you a little bit about the technical sides of the webinar. The platform offers two ways for the webinar participants to ask questions and give comments. First, you can use a question section. Another way is to use a raise your hand tool to pay our attention that you have questions or you want to let us know that we have some technical problems with picture quality or with the sound. While we're waiting for some people to join us, I would like to tell you a few words about Rula Technologies. Rula is a team of experts in vibration. We are a European manufacturer of vibration control and data acquisition systems, as well as power amplifiers and software for vibration control, data analysis, and calibration. Our products can be implemented in automotive, aerospace, railway, research, and other industries. For all Rula users, we offer tailor-made solutions, free software updates, lifetime compatibility, online trainings, system installation support, and 24/7 available support team, as well as flexible warranty terms. Let's move on to the topic of our today's webinar, simplified approaches to starting vibration testing. Well, as you know, the process of vibration testing may seem complicated due to multiple factors, such as complex user interfaces, numerous customizable settings, advanced measurement parameters, as well as a variety of sensors, shakers, and standards that can really overwhelm and confuse new users. And these complexities, while necessary for precise and versatile testing, but can make the process of test run difficult and time-consuming, especially if you are at the beginning of vibration testing journey. And at Rula, we strive to make your experience of test run as convenient and simple as possible. And that is why we decided to discuss with you test-up features that can significantly simplify the process of vibration testing.
Now we are addressing new desktop users and distributors. I hope they are also joining this webinar or watching the webinar recording. If they have a question about how to approach vibration testing in the simplest way, what steps should they take to get started? How do we recommend to start?
Well, if you are setting the software version for the first time, the configuration of default settings will be very easy for you because of our new setup wizard, which offers a fine-tuned configuration of the settings depending on the user's purpose of testing. It allows the user to customize all the crucial settings before using the program. Depending on the purpose of using the program, it offers you to choose between configuration for vibration control tests, for accelerometers calibration, for checking microphones, and for shaker attestation and transient capture. For example, if you choose configuration for vibration control tests, the setup wizard makes you set up default shaker and channel settings for the tests you create, and as a result, you don't need to go into the default settings to configure default shaker and channels. Let's have a look at the steps you need to go through with the setup wizard. Well, so in the first window, you are to choose the purpose of your testing. Next, you are to choose the work mode. So you are to choose between default, demo, and file viewer. Here you need to choose a network card and the master device. And as you can see, you can set here as many controllers as you have and as you need for your testing. Next, you are to set default channel settings for single shaker tests. And for each channel, you are to put a name, to put sensitivity in accordance with the datasheet of the sensor, as well as choose its type. In the next window, you will, it is the same window, and here you are to choose the outputs, so the type of them. And next, you will need to choose the default shaker. And before proceeding to the next step, you are to make sure that the shaker parameters correspond with the technical data sheet. In the next window, you need to check the configuration that you set up. And here you will see the name of the equipment, the configured settings for channels, and configured default settings for the shaker you chose.
And what does the box get acquainted with the program functions mean?
Well, it means that starting test tab, you will see a tips window where you can find 10 tips to guide you through the software interface and make it easier for you to learn new features. There is a special box in the bottom of the window where you can put a tick for the option of showing startup tips window for every start of the program. And next to this option, you can also put a tick in the box Enable Simple Mode, which will automatically cut down the number of test settings parameters.
So this is the way to simplify the start of vibration test, because as you enter these default settings with the help of setup wizard, you won't have to think about configuration of the settings every test run.
Correct. Once configured the default settings, then they will be saved and applied to your tests. Another thing I would like to highlight is that the wizard is convenient to use when your equipment is used for the specific type of tasks. Well, for example, if you are a lab and your equipment is used only for vibration control testing, then right in the beginning, you can configure channels and shaker and continue your work with the default settings.
And what if I have multiple types of tasks, like I do vibration control and I also do accelerometers and microphone calibration?
Good question. You have multiple functions, but you won't do it all at once, right? If, for example, now as you start your use of test tab, you want to configure the settings for vibration control testing, you can first apply this default configuration. And when the next time you want to use your system for accelerometers calibration, then you can launch the setup wizard again from the configuration in the default test settings. Now let's open test tab and see how you can get there. So we need to go to the configuration tab and choose default test settings. And here you will see the button launch the program setup wizard. And you need to mind that this button can be activated only if you use default work mode.
Am I right that this is a brand new feature?
Correct. Well, if you remember, so if you're not quite new, the setup wizard was never there. We did get questions on how to start, where do you click, like where do you go chronologically? And we decided that we should prompt the users to the best way to approach. So we came up with this wizard. You will see the setup wizard if you're installing the program for the first time or if you're uploading the newest software version. The wizard window is only shown once. It's also important because otherwise it will be very annoying to have it each time you open your software. The setup wizard appeared in the latest test-up version, which was just recently uploaded to the website. So don't be surprised if you have used our software and you haven't seen this feature yet. We have just added it. And as you update the software, the wizard will appear and the choice of your functions, well, as you have seen it, the vibration control, accelerometers calibration, microphone calibration, shaker attestation, and transient capture will bring you to the settings. The program update doesn't mean that your default settings won't save from the previous version and disappear. No, they won't. You choose your functionality and your default settings will simply open. Or if you choose a different functionality, you can enter them.
Can we have a closer look to the startup tips which we chose to appear in the end of default configuration with setup wizard?
Sure. After finishing the configuration of default settings, the program transfers you to the window with startup tips. We will skim through them, all of them right now, and a little bit later we will take a closer look to some of the tips connected to databases. Well, first you will see that your test and data will be saved after a stop. Second tip is connected to the option of auto-scale by maximum on all the lines of your graphs. Tips number 3 and 4 connected to the data panel configuration. So here you can see how to configure the data panel by default. And you can add here the required number of channels and choose measurement parameters such as acceleration, displacement, and velocity. Tip 5 is about analysis tab, where you can choose to start recording automatically on test run. The recording will be saved to the test folder. Here you can choose which channels to record and which type of recording to use, continuous, interval, discrete. Tip 6 train you how to copy and paste the line from the graph into any text editor. In the tip 7, you learn about start check, which enables the display of the basic test parameter before starting. And the start check window is to be chosen in default test settings. Tip 8 shows you how to configure channels. Tip 9 shows how to configure hardware settings. And tip 10 shows Shaker database.
These tips are definitely helpful if you are a beginner. When you start vibration testing, it may seem that the number of testing settings is overwhelming. Was this problem somehow solved in the new software update?
Yes, we have had requests to simplify the interface for the basic tests. So if you're a beginner at vibration testing, or if you perform simple tests and use a controller with 2 channels and work in sine, random, and shock, then we recommend to start with the simplified interface mode. Depending on your level of proficiency, you can set the default settings with every detail. But if you do that, we strongly recommend to read the manual before. If you choose simplified interface mode, you will see that your default test settings are cut down to the very essential. So it is configuration of profile, limits, and channels. Let's see how it works on the example of sine mode. So let's go back to test tab. Let's open default test settings. As you can see, the simplified interface mode is already activated. And if we untick it, then you will see the big variety of measurement parameters. So we chose simplified interface mode. Say apply and OK. And let's see what does it mean for the test creation in Sine. Yeah, we click on create test, new test. And as you can see, there are only 3 tabs: profile, limits, and channels. So in the profile, you are to add start and end frequency, start and end amplitude. You can also add here a simple schedule if you need it. In the limits, you can see the manufacturer of the shaker and the chosen default model of the shaker. And here you are also to add the masses. So as you can see, you can add here object mass, picture mass, table mass, and other masses. Okay. And also you can see here the channels which you set together with the setup wizard. So these are the default channels. And in the bottom, you can see that you can untick the simplified mode. So let's do it. To do this, you need to enter the numbers for the profile. So let the start frequency be 10, start amplitude 0.1, and frequency 100 Hertz, and amplitude 1. So apply. test 2, for example, it is. And we can untick the simplified view. And you will see the variety of additional settings that you can do for your test. But we'll stay in the simplified view. Okay, good. Now let's look at random. Let's create new test. So in here, as it was in sign, you can see profile, limits, and channels. And the same will be also for the shock test. So in its configuration, you will see pulse, limits, and channels, because shock test, and the profile. So as you can see, the simplified mode is only applicable for sign, random, and shock, and the other tests are more complex, so there is no need to include the simplified interface mode in them. This feature is designed for users who perform simple tests without any schedule. For experienced users, you can always disable the simplified mode and configure the settings in detail.
Very well. So this is all for beginners who are just starting and using one and the same shaker. So the default settings are enough. But actually, of course, very often our users change shaker, use one or the other. Maybe they change the shaker depending on the test, their functionality, and default settings are not enough. So let's see what tips and hacks we have for those who actually have to deal with shaker settings.
In this case, we have a pre-installed collection of shakers that you can choose from as you switch one shaker to another, so you don't have to enter a single parameter, as we have already entered them for you. And for users' convenience, we have developed a comprehensive database of shakers, a variety of models manufactured by Brüel & Kjær, Donlin, ETS, IMB, Spectra, Tira, so making it easier for you to select and configure equipment quickly and accurately. Now let's open Test tab and take a closer look at the shaker database. So we need to press Configuration, open Shakers database. And here you can see the available manufacturers of shakers, its models. And depending on the chosen model of the shaker, you can see that the parameters are changing. Also, we can open a list of all shakers manufacturers and edit it. So as you can see, we tried to make the process of starting the vibration testing more user-friendly and collected the most popular and frequently used shaker models for you not to spend time entering the technical characteristics according to the shaker's datasheet.
What if I can't find the required shaker in the shaker database?
Well, it happens. In case there is no required shaker manufacturer, you can enter the characteristics of the shaker according to the shaker datasheet in a few steps. You need to press Add button and enter the shaker's manufacturer name and its model. After that, strictly in accordance with the shaker's datasheet, you are to enter frequency range, so start and end frequency, moving mass and maximum load mass, and these values will be used during the test limits calculation. So here are they. Then you need to enter the table with limit values of acceleration, velocity, displacement, force, and maximum driving voltage for sign, shock, and random. And please bear in mind that displacement parameter is set in zero peak, not in peak to peak. And you will need to open the shaker data sheet and find the displacement value. That means that we need to enter values which represent the maximum displacement of the shaker from the 0 point to the highest and lowest points. Please be attentive here, otherwise you can destroy your shaker. In the bottom of the tab, you can see a checkbox which selects the current shaker as a default one for all tests. We can do this. And moving to the test settings, in the limits tab, we can select shaker's manufacturer and model and use it for the test run. So let's have a quick look at it. So for example, if we go to the sign, and here we will create a new test and go in the limits, so we will see the manufacturer of shaker and its model. Okay.
Is there a database of sensors?
Well, yes and no for the same time. We don't have the preloaded sensor database because sensors are too varied. So you just basically create your sensors database. There is a big variety of sensor models provided by different sensor manufacturers. Well, let's open it. So sensors database looks this way. And usually different manufacturers include a long product line of charge, IEP, linear, and TED sensor types. And it is very hard to choose even the most popular among them. That is why users add the required sensors themselves. As you can see, it can be done in a few simple steps. You need to click on the plus button and add sensors name, serial number, sensitivity, manufacturer, and date when the calibration expires. And there is also an option of sensor description where you can share your thoughts about the advantages and disadvantages of work with the certain sensor. However, we do have a database of reference sensors for calibration procedure. Now let's open sensor calibration test type. And have a look at the sensors. Wait a minute. Database for the sensors calibration. Those are the sensors which are commonly used for calibration. Here we can see some preset sensors with information about the manufacturer, model, and sensitivity. You can also use the existing sensor database or add a new sensor here.
Is there a way to simplify internet test profile for the user?
Well, some of the tests can be set according to these standards, among which we have available configurations for ISTA, ASTM, MIL-STD standards. The base of included in the software standards is updated as we get requests from the users to add new standards for their projects. And to see the available standards, you need to click on the Create Test button. So let's click in this sign test. And here you can see, for example, the ISTA standards. And if you choose it, you will see the profile of the test in accordance with the standard type. Another thing which was made for the interface simplification is the customization of the test. So now you can customize the ribbon by the corresponding menu. You can find it here. And you can choose which tabs to display and which not. For example, if you don't need open report option or you don't need user mode, you can hide them. So let's do this. And you won't be able to see them in the panel.
What if I test standard product every 4 days and I need to be sure that my test data is saved, and in case I need a few months later, I can get the required information about it?
Test database is another thing which makes user experience efficient and personalized. Let's run the test and check test database. First, you need to create a test which will be saved as a file in your folder. Let's do it together in Test tab. So let's create a new test. So let us start frequency with 10, start amplitude 1, and frequency 100, and amplitude 2. Okay, exits. So let the test name be web. Save it. And send the test as a file. In the folder ensures that the next time you can open your test with the specified profile. After you create it and save your test as a file in the folder, you can click on the button Saving Test Results and see that programs automatically chose to save the data of the test to the database, for example, at the end of the comment and end of every test. So here you can see it. Good. The program saves the information about the test with such necessary details as date, time, duration of the test, and applied comments. And for example, if you need to see the data of the test which you ran a few months ago, it won't be a problem for you as all information about it will be saved in your database. So we can open tests database, and here we can see the available tests. Good. So let's go to our presentation. Moving on to the conclusions of the webinar. Today, we delved into the ways of migration testing and simplification together with Google software. As you can see, our software team is constantly working on making software as user-friendly as possible. During the webinar, we walked you through our brand new feature setup wizard, which guides you at the first launch of the program and helps you to configure the default settings. We discussed 10 tips which assist every user to learn the software interface. Also, we showed you how to apply the simplified interface mode for your tasks, and we demonstrated our databases of shakers, standards, sensors, and the spatial database for your own tasks.